So welcome back, guys, and we have gotten our map pool. Very quick, no? Very quick. It's not as if we did it, during the waiting time or anything, and I just forgot to do something. That totally didn't happen. But it was a very strong affair there from Mr. Nuks. He was able to show on up two different openings there from our Zerg race. He went for the hatch first earlier on Purity and Industry, and he decided to transition it over to a Roach Ravager all-in push, basically, and decided to destroy his opponents with everything he's got. He was able to take the advantage, and he was like, oh, I can actually drone on up in behind. I don't need to go for more reinforcements, and in the end it just wasn't enough for Mr. Phoenix to handle it. Compare it though to Zen, where he did go for the pull first, and it looked like that Nux wanted to go for the aggression. He felt like that, hey, I can actually punish Phoenix if he tries to do it again, if he tries to go for higher tiers of tech without building any other units. And luckily, with the Zerglings early on, he was able to put a stop to the proxy. So it really goes to show that Phoenix making that mistake, though, of bringing those Zerglings there to where he was building that bunker, but at the same time, Nux having a little bit of that fortunate coincidence where he went for pull first, but it is a good way to mix and match things so your opponent doesn't read you like a book. And really, that was it. Since Phoenix potentially was expecting Nux to go for hatch first. When the pool came, when the Zerglings came early, well, that was just that she's unable to get any tastier. But hey, let's go into our map pool right here, right now, between Nux and Cypem. So for this matchup, it's going to be Eternal Empire, Simulacrum, and Nightshade picks. None of the new maps, no Zen as well, and a very, very familiar map pool here for these two players, because these maps have been here for the season for quite a while. They're already here last season, and many of these maps can allow these Zerg versus Zerg fights to go the long haul. No real punish compared to like that ZVT on Eternal Empire or the Everdream map. Instead, we see Eternal Empire. There are gonna be good places to actually go for the brawl on the ground or onto those third and second base transitions. Simulacrum, same thing. Big areas in the middle. You can actually go for the fight once you get to the high ground as well. It'll be very, very easy to connect those bases here on Simulacrum, and we'll see where these two players draw the lines. Finally, Nightshade, very familiar map. Zerg players do enjoy playing Nightshade in the first place. It really is a simple map to go on, and it is very, very small. Honestly, it's really, really easy to bridge the gap, go on the diagonal, because it is a straight line approach. There's a very, very, very little curves and antics on the map in terms of going straight against your opponent, so you can really go for a very, very early aggressive push on Nightshade. But hey, that's what I think, and we are just waiting on for these two players to get ready. It seems like, though, that with Eternal Empire coming our way, it's gonna be an exciting one to say the least. Will we see more antics there from Nux? He was able to bring in even the Baneling drops earlier on Zen, and potentially can be able to do it as well here on Eternal Empire on two different aspects of the map. There's one by the natural, there's one from the third base to the main. But it isn't as safe, it isn't as easy to do compared to Zen. So we'll see. I'm expecting more of these Roaches and Ravagers, though, to actually fight one another. Some early Zergling skirmishes is going to be a big deal to see who will have the advantage in the first place. And right here, right now, let's get into the action. Nux gonna be ready to go. Look on for Cypem right now. ZVZ. We haven't seen this matchup in quite a while, but it's time to get on started, guys. Game number 1 out of 3 yet again in semifinals number 1. It's only a single elim bracket, guys, so we are gonna be here for a short but sweet ride. Like I said, maybe next time we can go on with a potential, what do you call this, with a potential double elimination bracket instead. And let's get it on, let's get it done. It seems like we are going to be getting ready for semifinals number 1 in this ZVV. Going to be an exciting time, and we'll quickly move on into the matchup. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to game number 1 out of 3 here on Eternal Empire. ZVZ action coming our way. Creep spread going to be key into this matchup. And introducing first, on the bottom left, it is going to be the blue Zerg. That is Cypem. And his opponents here at the top right instead, it's been the victor so far in this tournament. He's been the victor in a previous one in the regionals as well. He's looking to go on with a championship streak. Can he do it? It's gonna be the red Zerg that is Nuks. So look guys to the Zerg race, quick little beginner talk about Zerg. They make lots of units from caterpillars. They like spreading creep. That's where they can only build their buildings besides the hatchery. And they're very, very scary. They're very, very scary. It takes a lot of macro. It takes a lot of efficiency, honestly, for many, many Zerg players to really eke out the best of the race. And the best of the best, really playing Zerg to such a strong degree. So that's why you see Zerg a lot more in the higher tiers of ladder compared to the lower ones. It isn't as easy as it looks to get to that 200, 200. Sure, you can just spam one certain unit and build a huge army. But beyond that, really trying to maximize the value of it, trying to stay ahead of your opponent, trying to have enough of an income to have the swarm in check. Well, those are many factors that every Zerg player has to consider. So let's get into this one. Quick little FYI, there is no Protoss actually in our bracket. It is only Terran as well as Zerg. Very, very different compared to yesterday's approach. So right here, right now, it seems like Cypem is going to go for a one base Zergling rush. Is it really gonna be the case? It is gonna be a pool first at the opening, but he goes straight into a Baneling Nest instead. So it seems like Cypem gonna be looking for an insta-kill into this one, as Nuks did go for the hatchery first instead. The real question is though, can Nuks defend into this one as the Zerg's already hammering away onto that natural. The Queen still trying to come on and potentially go for the defense. But Nuks already abandoning that second base with those drones. Here comes more and more of these Zerglings. Still Nuks trying to defend, but he has to play wary. He doesn't have too many in behind. Cypem having 10 already. Very, very early push here and now from Cypem. And you can say there's a little cheesy right here, right now. Was that like a 14, 15 full? He's only at 14 workers right now, that's for sure. But in the meantime, Nuks gonna be able to fend him off. The Queen comes on now. Here comes the Spinecrawler as well. Cypem looking desperate to get the KO. Gets the Queen! That's actually a huge hit! Looking for another one. Sacrifices one of these Banelings for one Zergling. Not really too worth it. Cypem still needs more though. He still needs more of these kills if he wants to be effective into this one, because he's going to be lagging behind pretty heavily. 2 base in 2-1. So for Cypem, he's going to keep on with the pressure. He is going to keep on. He has already stuck to his guns. And that is going to be the plan. Nuks in the meantime, going for the Baneling Nest as well. Has gotten it in behind. And will look to defend with a few of these morphed units trying to get the Cascade on. AoE damage from these birds is going to be absolutely huge. But right here, right now, it seems like Nuks gonna be looking for a brawl on the outside. But the block boost though, such a big difference. But here comes his wings as well from Nuks. Looking to run around right now. Cypem unable to get this around on. And in the meantime, Nuks waiting with these Banelings. So it seems like Nuks realizing that, hey, he has too many army units in the front. I can actually go for a run on by, and Cypem desperate to try and come back. It really is gonna be Speed Racer versus Racer X, who can actually get on through. But Nuks in the meantime gonna get caught here, and now Cypem going for the brawl, going for the fight. And it seems like the Red Zerglings have to run on away as they want to be safe and sound into the next coming fight. So a solid skirmish at the very start already of this map. Seems like Nuks able to defend really, really well, losing only one Queen. Cypem in the meantime unable to be as efficient as he wants. And here comes Cypem right now looking to fend off Nuks with one of these Banelings. But for Cypem, he is on the back foot. He is quite behind already in terms of that economy. The two Banelings kiss each other and explode. It seems like romance not going to be allowed in the office place here and now. In the meantime, Nuks droning on up, getting more and more of these workers, looking to be as efficient as possible. And what is the plan here for Cypem? He's going for more Banelings. He will go for a Spinecrawler as well, looking to make it through. But now Nuks, getting in position, gonna run on away instead, preventing that Spinecrawler actually from rooting just in time to save the Queen. That's a good snipe there from Nuks right now, and he will look to back on out yet again. Creep being spread though. And with the creep spread right now for Cypem, he will have a potential speed boost advantage at the very start of the skirmish. But Nuks gonna be stepping on as well. The Spinecrawler right now gonna be basically the fence into this one. Banelings now brought in by Nuks. And he's looking for the bus. He's looking for the burst. Could be a kiss there. Oh, huge value for Cypem. Nuks sending in too many of them, and Cypem in the meantime finding a little bit more of a kiss. It's gonna be a hug and a goodbye kumbaya to the banelings of the Red Zerg. Still though, for Nuks, he's just looking for opportunities. He doesn't need to commit onto this. Cypem is still lagging behind, and if Nuks is willing to play the macro game instead and outrace his opponents using minerals and gas in this game, well, that is gonna be advantage for him. He now moves on over to roaches instead. He has 6 of them queued up, and will go for Latsec, so Gilliard Reconstitution gonna be an important part. Get that speed boost on, especially Creep, and make sure that he can get the damage done against Cypem and whatever he's planning. Anyway though, surround right now, Cypem trying to go for the third base, but you can really see the difference. Because Nuks is controlling battlefield, controlling the space between the two bases, and basically having a bigger army thanks to the fact that he had more minerals in the bank in the first place. GG's called. He knows that it's not gonna happen. Too many Baileys coming his way. Cypem did not work out with his really aggressive starts, and in the end, it falls flat in his face. But there you go, guys. That was game numero uno out of 3. And Nuks again with another quick victory. Is this gonna be the name of the game? Is this gonna be the story here for our tournament? Because Nuks taking that first one by storm, able to defend the cheesy antics, honestly. You could say that really was way too early from Cypem to be a normal standard build. And it really put him in such a hole to begin with. Anyway though, we are going to be moving on over to Simulacrum next. Gonna be a fun, interesting map, especially if we get a macro game between our two players. As in Simulacrum, like you said before, gonna be pretty easy to expand onto those 3 bases, get that creep spread going. In the meantime, a big brawl in the middle is always a fun one. It's like an arena where 2 of these players really just try to battle things out and get as much damage done as possible. But hey, it's been a fun one so far. We've seen Zerg take down Terran, and now Zerg looking to take down Zerg. The real question is though, will we see a variance into that next semifinal? So after this, guys, we are going to have Bull versus Extinct. And if Extinct takes that one, it's going to be a ZVZ finals for sure. Right now, though, we are waiting on these players to get on ready. They can take their time, of course, to just look to set on up for game number 2. It has been really the Zerglings and the Banelings were such skirmishers in that previous fight. The first tap of Nuks didn't pan out. Cypem by a thread, by literally the hair on his skin. He got the 2 for 5 and stopped the attack there from Nuks. But since Nuks went for the third base, he droned on up, was so efficient, it was so saturated. He just brought in so many more Zerglings, and he was like, I'm gonna put these Banelings in front of your face, I'm gonna morph them in, and you decide if you want to deal with this or not. And Cypem's like, nope, that ain't happening. We go again, we go next. And we are trying to get into game number 2. But for Cypem, he needs to bounce back. He can't really do antics like that against Nuks if Nuks is able to defend in such a good manner. I love to see a more macro-oriented game right here, right now from our 2 players. It'll be a good way to see who can really have the edge as we move on to the mid into the late game. But that's typical ZVZ in PH, as some say. And really, it's all about the Ling shenanigans. It's all about who will actually say, I'm not gonna play Lings anymore, I'm gonna go Roaches instead. And let's get into this one. Race check is A-OK. Ephemeron coming our way between Nuks and Cypem. This is gonna be game number 2 out of 3. Will this be the last one in this series? Semifinals number 1, loading on in yet again. And for Simulacrum. A very familiar map, guys. It's a very familiar map to me, to many. And I feel like it's one of those really fun maps that if you go into the late game, you have some really cinematic skirmishes that you don't really see too much in StarCraft nowadays when it is an early meta. But hey, let's get into the action right here, right now. Introduce first though. On to the bottom right, we have the blue Zerg, that is Cypem. And his opponents. Here at the top left, It's gonna be the red Zerg of Nuks. So for Cypem, story for Mr. Cypem, of course, Mr. Prof, Mr. Teacher, did make it to the Super training pool as well as a few competitions here and there. But mostly, he's been enjoying streaming. So if you guys can check that out, he has a pretty active Facebook page in fb.gg, Cypem Real. And he looks to basically try to explain the nuances of the Zerg race, and you can really say that he is a good gateway for many new Zerg players who want to make that transition or want to learn how to play it in the local scene. In the meantime though, we have talked about Nuks beforehand. Nuks really is one of the old guard from the very start of StarCraft who has been playing and has been one of the best the region of the country has to offer in the first place. Very familiar with the Zerg race, something he's been enjoying to play for so long. And right here, right now, he's gonna go for the Extractor. Hatchery first right here, right now, also for both of these players. And Nuks just a little edging in terms of that lead. A second early on the build order might make a big difference into this one. And just all about the positioning, all about the stepping stones that earlier actions do in the first place. But hey, it can also just mean absolutely nothing, and I'm spitballing trying to have a semblance of analysis in the first place. ZVZ. The greats have called it just a knife fight. A knife fight in a very tight space. Because honestly, there is no real difference in ZVZ in terms of what you bring to the table. It's usually similar compositions facing off against one another. And then it turns into a situation where if someone transitions, you also transition the same way and you fight again in that manner. That is usually the story of ZVZ. That's why for ZVZ, you actually can get stuck with Zerglings and Banelings for quite a long time actually, till someone goes Roaches and then you get stuck with Roach Ravager, and then that stays a while for quite a long time and you move into something else. Anyway though, for Cypem, he does have a few Zerglings to go for the Scout. In the meantime, Nuks doing the same, making sure that he gets the vision on. Third base now being built by both sides almost simultaneously. It's like I'm looking into a mirror, and in both angles, it's just a different color. Different worlds right here, right now. Nuks in the meantime, trying to deal with the hatchery. Here we go with the brawl already, all about that micro. A sliver of HP on that one. Zergling is still gonna die as he hits the Vespene Geyser instead. And now the double DPS advantage here for Nuks allows him to take the kill onto that pair. This is gonna force Cypem to send in a few more Zerglings potentially. But the hatchery has already gotten to a more or less safe point in terms of being spawned on in. It will take the damage and it really won't get much HP in behind. It will probably stay that way till it is done and dusted. But Cypem finally gonna bring reinforcements, gonna be able to clean that up. But metabolic boost on the side, both of them getting it pretty much at the same time. So the real question here is, how will our two players be any different? So far, for Nuks, he does have a evolution chamber. He can go for the +1 upgrade pretty early. That will make a big difference actually in a fight like this. But the Baneling is already set up for both players. Neither side looking to give up a potential bust, an opportunity to just destroy the opposition. But Nuks gonna be backing on that. He is happy to take a pretty safe and sound third base. Cypem in the meantime, looking a little worse for wear on that hatchery, but hey, it was able to survive. That's the real thing. Now with 3 bases set on up and with a standard Zergling Baneling approach, will we have Mutalisk yet again into the field? Seems like no, Nuks is gonna turn things around and we'll go for the Roaches instead. Just an opening volley. He goes for the Baneling nest, making sure that if Cypem does go Baneling, he will have an answer for it in the first place. Still though, creep being spread. Cypem right now looking to set things up on top and slowly but surely go on down below. But the Baneling's trying to go for the chase down, looking for the takedown. Doesn't really get much though, and the Queens right now finding the interception. Nuks gonna be tossing them over to those royalty members. But anyway, the Red Zerg backing on out yet again. Really just a few skirmishes here and there, and Nuks focusing on taking workers, taking tech, and taking as much money as he can. At the same time though, seems like a huge drone on up here for Cypem. That is going to be the play, and he takes the lead now in the work count. But at the same time, good micro here from Nuks. He's going for the army instead. looking to build more and more of these units apparently, and it is going to be the roaches coming our way. 3 bases should be a good way to sustain his economy and keep things up in the first place. No real way for him to be punished right here right now, as Cypem isn't looking to build anything huge, and Nuks knows it. It's gonna be a safe transition into roaches. He's getting the scout information. Cypem in the meantime going for his own roaches, and again we are gonna have a standard mirror matchup brawl here in ZVZ. Pro Survival gonna be a huge one. It really depends on how many Ravagers come out into the table, but a +1 now coming our way, courtesy of Nuks. So he does have a very small timing window that he has the natural advantage, but he's not gonna make it in time. Ravagers though gonna get more blown up. That's what all the gas is for. Anyway, Baneling's gonna be also a good way to add things to the arsenal. Here comes Nuks right now, marching on forward, using the Zerglings to try and bait up a few Banelings to just die in the first place. Roaches though out in front, backing that one up. And Nuks having a significant army supply right now. Now the problem here for Nuks, if he loses out in this fight, he will be put way behind. But by this point in time, he's able to march on the natural, expecting Cypem to go for the drone on up instead. And he's trying to find the surround on his own units, making sure that they are protected. Drones though pulled already, natural taking a lot of damage. Close about connecting onto the Roach Warren as well, trying to prevent that upgrade from coming online. And this is looking like Nuks is really trying to make a date to the finals. He's marching on forward yet again. And GG well played is called. Nuks gonna be able to take that one. Cypem calling that he did overdrone into that one, and that is how he gets punished accordingly. It really goes to show how you use your scouting information is absolutely huge. And yes, Cypem did perform many drones, tried to go for the investment game, but with such a significant army count there from Nuks coming his way, that's just not gonna fly. Again, not really respecting what his opponent is doing. Same case into our semifinals, and Nuks gonna take advantage of that one. We'll be able to move on as our first grand finalist. There you go, guys. Nuks again with another victory, another clean 2-0 in our tournament. And honestly, if you were to bet on someone in this tournament right now, Nuks wouldn't be a bad pick whatsoever. As we said before, a lot of prestige and a lot of history for this player. Really goes to show that he is still in his game, and he's only getting better and better, especially during this time in the quarantine. Hey though, it's been a solid effort so far between our players, but Nuks really showing that he is above and beyond by this point. Can he keep things up and take the crown? We'll be moving over to our second semifinal in just a bit. Stick around, guys, and we'll be right back.